As a researcher, you spend a great deal of your time evaluating data in order to understand the system under study. And when it comes to evaluating the instruments that you use for collecting the data on certain measurements, some of us are a little lazy, if you will, in evaluating the numbers. One of the topics that comes up almost every day in my life is the relative value of the deep UV performance of a circular dichroism spectrophotometer. As you might know, circular dichroism is looking at the handedness of molecules, the chirality, the symmetry of the systems, and it's very important in studying proteins, for instance, where one is able to extract information about the secondary and tertiary structure of the protein using a circular dichroism. So there's a plethora of parameters in a measurement as difficult as CD, which is a differential absorbance measurement. So you're looking at an extraordinarily small difference between the effect of left circularly polarized light and right circularly polarized light on the molecules. So very, very difficult measurement to make. And there's only a handful of CD instruments out there in the world. There's a lot of parameters again to consider. And yet the one that so many people use as a final determinant is the how far below 190 can an instrument go? And it's kind of tragic because very few samples will support analysis below 190. Certainly 182 is almost a hard stop if you have any water in your system because 90+% of the photons are being absorbed by the aqueous solution. So the difference of the CD between one that has a lower limit of 190, 185, 170, 163 is truly, in practice, a meaningless differentiator. One needs to look at other parameters to evaluate whether the instrument would be the best one for your use. Its modularity, its reliability, its reliance on an analog lock-in amplifier rather than modern software data analysis, many other things that are practical determinants, software, of how good of an experience you will have with the instrument. Looking at the difference between, call it, extreme example, 170 to 163, you will never, ever be able to measure that difference in your laboratory unless you're working with gas phase something. But for those of us working with any kind of a salt, for instance, you're going to be limited to 190, 200, 210 as a lower limit anyway. So just be very, very careful when you're evaluating instrumentation to not fixate on a particular number because the sales manufacturer tells you that it's the most important one, because for your work, it may or it absolutely may not be. If you'd like to explore this in more detail with me, be in touch.